In this video, I will show you 6 successful Google resume examples and reveal exactly which parts help the creators secure internships and full-time jobs at Google. Use the timestamps to jump to each resume example and download your favorite template for free. Alright, now this is the first resume example. I got Alex, a $300K full-time software engineer position at Google. And if we take a closer look at his resume, it becomes clear as to why he got the job. You see, the reason why Alex was able to land a job at Google was a combination of the companies he worked for, his experiences as a software engineer, and the results he achieved. Nothing too surprising, right? But what's really interesting here is his journey to the top of big tech. You see, before Microsoft and Amazon, this is what his resume looked like, showing little more than a few unfinished side projects. And once Alex joined Amazon, he took the opportunity to boost his experience section. As he explains in this video, he recovered a critical checkout failure for Saudi Arabia's Amazon webshop. And this wasn't a super complicated fix. In fact, with just a click of a button, he was able to roll back the broken links that had crashed the website. But this saved the company a ton of money. So from that day on, he was able to use this story to land a job at Microsoft and then combine all of his experiences and 2 reputable company names to land a job at Google. So what I want you to keep in mind is that although Alex's resume seems flawless, he too had to start from scratch, and then he strategically highlighted his most impressive results along the way. Alright, now let's move on to the second resume example that got Boris an interview for a machine learning research internship at Google DeepMind. Right away, we can see that Boris did a lot of research, worked on projects, and even has some publications. But it's this part about reinforcement learning that grabbed Google's attention. As he explains in this video, Boris applied for a research position in multimodal learning. And luckily for him, reinforcement learning by human feedback was hyped at the time. So during the interview, it became clear to Boris that Google DeepMind's team was particularly interested in his expertise in RL. So what we can learn from this resume is that sometimes you don't need the highest GPA or an Ivy League level university to land your ideal internship. This resume shows how focusing on specific projects and market timing can make a company more likely to invite you to an interview. Now, if you like this free template, you can find it on Overleaf. This software tool has a code and visual editor that you can use to edit your resume. And when you're done, you just click Recompile. And the changes will appear over here. Now, Boris also made several of his projects public and included links to them. That's why you see these cyan-colored borders. And these external sources allow hiring managers to get a sense of the project's difficulty. And once you're done, you just click Download PDF. Alright, now this is the third resume example that helped Ricardo a UX design internship at Google, which later on led to a full-time product designer role in his career. As Ricardo explains in his resume video, working at Google had always been his dream. But the journey wasn't as straightforward as it may seem. In fact, Ricardo didn't make it into Google on his first attempt, after submitting this resume. Now, instead of giving up on his dreams, he saw this as an opportunity to gain more experience and sharpen his skills, starting with an internship at Adobe. Then, after his internship at Adobe, he spent a year refining his resume. This time, he switched to a 2-column layout and got involved in extracurricular activities, such as collaborating with professors as a teaching assistant, leading workshops, and attending exhibitions. Now, all these efforts combined eventually paid off, helping him secure the Google internship he had always dreamed of. Now, I can see why this colorful 2-column resume would work when applying to creative positions. There's really just one thing that I would suggest changing. Swap the bright pink headers for something more neutral, or as I would do, use Google's brand colors. But hey, I'm no designer and this approach worked for Ricardo. So let's move on to the fourth resume example that got Andrew a software engineering internship at Google, which later on helped him secure a full-time position. Now, Andrew used this clean, simple 1-column, 1-page resume. And if we take a closer look at his resume, it becomes clear why he got an internship at Google. You see, Andrew was quite an exceptional student, graduating with honors, a high GPA, numerous extracurriculars, projects, awards, and relevant work experience. All of this was achieved while in college. So is there still something that we can learn from Andrew? Well, under his resume video, in the comments section, this question caught my attention. How did you do all of that? And that's exactly what I was thinking too. So here's Andrew's response. Prioritization. He says, instead of trying to balance everything at once, focus your energy on the most important thing at a time. So to get his first internship, he prioritized getting his grades up as he wanted to use that as a differentiating factor. Later, when applying to big tech, he switched his focus onto projects to showcase more practical software engineering skills. So I think the lesson we can learn from Andrew's resume example is to approach things one step at a time. Alright, now let's move on to the fifth resume example that landed Michael a full-time software engineering position at Google. And here's what we can learn from his resume. Michael graduated cum laude with a bachelor's degree in computer science. And while that accomplishment certainly draws attention, his resume stands out most because of his software engineering experience at these startup companies. That's also why Michael placed it above the education section and dedicated almost half of his resume to it. So the lesson here is that if you don't have a high GPA or didn't get an internship at big tech, your main priority should be to gain experience at, for example, startup companies. Because as you can see, it allows you to learn a variety of skills and tools, and it gives you the opportunity to include some impactful, measurable results. Now, one thing I believe Michael could improve is his Canva resume template. I'm not a big fan of the dark on dark color scheme, so I would change that up a bit to make it easier on the eye. Also, when using a ruler, I noticed that these icons and dates aren't perfectly aligned. Some text exceeds the page margins too. In fact, all these elements seem just a bit out of place. I would honestly recommend using My Matching templates to keep your documents clean and tidy in any file type. It's 100% ADS friendly and selected by most Fortune 500 recruiters. Alright, next we have the sixth and final resume example that helped Piyush secure a full-time position as a technical solutions developer at Google. Now, the reason he landed that job was his 10 years of prior experience. However, I believe he could have documented his experiences in a better way. You see, right now it's just a wall of text and a bunch of keywords. So here's what I would do to bring context and impact to, for example, his most recent experiences. So what I would do is copy the entire text, then go to ChatGPT and enter structure the following experience section using the PAR method, and include measurable results to highlight impact. That we base the experience section we want to improve and press enter. There we go. See how this structure combined with the measurable results gives the recruiter a much better sense of the impact made. I would also recommend sticking to 3 bullet points, each with 2 to 3 lines, rather than the 7 or even 8 bullet points he used. Anyway, that's my take on these 6 resume examples. Let me know which one inspired you most. And if you found this video helpful, then you will most likely want to watch this video too. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you there.